Oh, hi kids. I'm Kamal. This is Selena. Welcome to the City and Beyond, where today we'll be discussing when we're going to Canada.
We already know how intimidating it is to go all the way to New Zealand, and then once you get there, the primary way to getting around and getting into all those nooks and crannies of New Zealand is driving.
Today's video, we're going to tell you about our experience driving in New Zealand and ways you can prepare. So probably about 2 weeks before we left, I got an email from a travel agency asking if I had prepared to drive in New Zealand. We typically don't use travel agencies, but this particular time we were trying to see what recommendations they had for us. And thankfully, they sent me this email because it took me to a website, which I don't actually recall, and it took me to a driving test in New Zealand. This was probably the godsend of the trip because while you figure most traffic laws are exactly the same and most signs are the same, they are not. There are many signs in New Zealand that I had never seen before and didn't quite completely understand, and this test completely prepared me for it. And I took it a couple of times until I felt like I had a passable grade. It felt like when I actually got there and I got to drive, it was like I had been driving there forever.
Forever though?
Not forever. I've seen a lot of people on Reddit, the New Zealand subreddit, say that if you are flying all the way to New Zealand, do not get on the road immediately. I decided to not listen to them. Reason being is we kind of eased our way in and we got like plenty of rest so we weren't jet lagged. If we had not done that and we flew directly or as close as possible to direct to New Zealand, I would have not driven the first day.
Yeah.
It is confusing, it is tiring, and you can definitely hurt yourself and others if you are not prepared to take this drive.
Exactly. From our rental place to the hotel, and it was a straight sprint for the most part. A little bit of Auckland driving, like city driving. And then once we got to the hotel, we parked it and we're like, we're not touching it again until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just so that we had like a full night's rest in a bed. And that was actually a really good idea.
It was.
Because we tried to push ourselves to stay awake till like 8 p.m. and we like barely made it to like 5, 6.
I was done.
And we couldn't find things to do that were in walking distance. Yeah, it was a struggle. So it was good that we slept, and we slept good. Woke up when we wanted to the next morning, and then we had like a 2-hour drive that day.
2-hour drive,
was the first drive.
Was the first drive.
We went from Auckland to Tutukaka.
Yeah. Our rental car place was off-site, so we shuttled from the airport to a location that was closer to Auckland. I'm not sure I would have done as well if I had left immediately from the airport. I have to be honest about that.
Yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, which will pop up, you probably saw my post about the fact that the first day I was so panicky and clutching the door and just like, your eyes on the road, your eyes on the road. And then I was like, don't relax at all. Be tense the whole time, because then you won't make a mistake and think that you're at home. So he definitely did good. I ended up not driving like the whole trip, I think. No, I didn't even turn on the car during this trip. No. It just worked out that way.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably better because he's the better and more experienced driver. I'm very cautious, but the roads were intense, so it was more intense than I thought they would be.
I will say, and this isn't a recommendation, this is just like what it was. I'm 6'2". And the car they gave me was like a compact sedan that had very little leg room. So instead of just getting in, I had to kind of slip into the car. And Selena was like, do you want to change it? And I said, no. And my logic was, just as she was making mention is if I'm uncomfortable, I have to be as alert as humanly possible. Yeah. Because it wasn't like my knees were in my chest and it was tight, because that would just be outright ridiculous. It was just annoying enough where I had to make sure I was focused on what I was doing. By day 2, we had a fairly long drive, not our longest drive. That was towards the end. It was a 2-hour drive. It was hilly, but I came to find out it was going to get much more hilly
Yeah.
as we
We're like,
stayed.
oh wow, we did
Yeah,
good.
it's like we
This
did
is not
good.
bad.
We did good.
Not as flat as I thought it would
Selena
be.
was the navigator, and what do you call the person that sits in the crow's nest on the boat? Where they're supposed to look out for the stuff, the guy that was supposed to tell about the iceberg and before the Titanic hit and all that. First mate? I don't know. That's what Selena was. She was like, hey, you're veering over to the right and it
Yes.
probably feels natural, but you should probably...
You're getting too close to the left is usually what I was saying. Like I'd be like, you're
Oh, right,
really
yeah. I'm close to the left, yeah.
And you're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're about to, and I would try to say it as calmly as possible because you should never alarm your driver because that will cause an accident.
Yeah, you don't want to get started while driving.
Yes. So I'm usually like that person that's just like, whoa, 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 you're getting kind of close there.
Yeah.
In the same tone that I just started, instead of screaming and like, oh my God. I might think it, but I never do it out loud, just so that we're safe.
Also, there are, I want to say, less traffic light intersections and a lot more roundabouts. Now, I'm sure if you're from probably a European country and probably many Caribbean countries, virtually anywhere that's not North America, you probably
Actually, I
have
feel like there's a good amount of states that also have
roundabouts or jug handles or whatever you call them, where everybody calls it something different. I don't know what they're called.
But there's a lot
The
of
traffic
those.
circle.
Traffic circle, yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of those. And it's a little confusing, or a lot confusing, because you're on the left side of the road.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
And then on the right side of the car. if
There
you're not
were
used to it.
a couple of times I missed my exit on the circle because I
There's
was...
just one.
Maybe it was just once, but I was on the outer lane as opposed to the inner lane. Inner lane means you're probably going to either go to another one or get out, and outer lane means you're going to go to the first one. So rather than cause an accident, I just exited.
Another thing is that there's like really one road to get out and into like most of the cities. And that's the 9. It's like the 1 and 9. But it's like the Route 1.
I don't remember.
We'll add it here. We probably should have remembered this before we came this video. But it's like, I believe it's Route 1, and it like goes through, there's like really like no other way you can really get to a lot of the places. And then it kind of branches off in certain sections, but most of it from Auckland was like just getting on Route 1 and then just going straight. We were on the same road most of the trip.
Most of the trip.
Yeah.
Which was helpful. I'm gonna be honest. Except for when it got to the more, I guess, rural area and like farm towns and what have you.
Right.
I had my first experiences with bridges. Again, you should totally take one of those tests because the bridge sign will tell you whether you're supposed to be waiting or letting the people go.
Right.
So that was the experience driving to Tutukaca. Now, on the 3rd day, we drove to Cape Rania.
Cape Rania.
And that is when I became a professional New Zealand driver.
Yes, day 3.
That was
actually
a roller coaster.
Yes.
Up a windy hill, down a windy hill, curves around a mountain, and all while you have to remember, I need to drive on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Yes.
It was, as the passenger, I tried to stay awake the whole time he drove anywhere, but for some reason, well, it was probably because Cape Rania was like 3 hours and change or something like that from Tutukaca. And when I started to feel my body go like this, over and over again, I like was alerted. I wasn't in deep sleep yet, but I was like, what is going on? And then I started to see the road and Kamal's hand just like up a hill. It was so crazy. I was like, what? What? I thought we got past the scary part already.
No.
And this was like at least for 20 minutes?
I was gonna say 20 minutes to
So, like,
half an hour.
Yeah.
And obviously because it's such a steep slope, it was very, very steep. I don't know if we have footage of that or we'll show it.
Because I woke up and I grabbed the camera automatically. I was like, oh my God.
You have to drive at a slower.
Some of it might be on Instagram.
A lower amount of kilometers an hour. Some people live in that area, so they zip by. Locals will do what locals do.
And Cape Reinga is the tippy top of the North Island of New Zealand. So there was a lot of like going up mountains and then going down the mountains and then going up the mountains and then going down. And then even at the end we had to walk a little bit up a hill and down the hill and then up a hill again. So it's very hilly. It's very windy. And it's very hilly. So you're going like this and like this at the same time. And I do not like roller coasters, just if anyone was interested in that.
There are a lot of areas to pull off to see the sights. I thought that was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. And I was like, no, just keep going. If it's not on the left side, then we're not going. Because I didn't want him to have to do like some weird turn and end up on the wrong side. I was just like, if it's not on the left side, we're not going. I see it from here. Yeah, we messed up our days. So it's day 1, we drove to the hotel from the rental place. Day 2, we drove to Tutukaka. And day 3, we went to Cape Reinga, which is the tippy top. And then day 4, we did local driving. We went on a cruise. You'll see like that day later. Anyway, day 5 went to Rotorua, which was about 5 hours and a half from Tutukaka, which was a drive. But after all the driving we had done already, going to Cape Reinga, going to Tutukaka, it was kind of like, what's 2 more hours?
Yeah.
I feel like this whole trip like actually helped me to endure like long drives even more than we've already have, because we've driven to like Canada.
I mean, some of my
8 hours.
My favorite memories all involve road trips, so this was like right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it was cool. I could not imagine if we were in a camper van though. People are crazy. I mean, power to you. Like, I admire you, because there are some people who we saw on the road and clearly were tourists, obviously. Who else is renting camper vans? But like, and like we were on really tiny windy roads and I'm like, how are you next to us right now? Like, how are you doing this? Like, I would be so worried. I was worried in the small cars. Like, yeah. And Kamal was worried about having a bigger vehicle because he doesn't, like, we have a smaller car, which you probably have seen in videos. And yeah, like it would be like too many new things to get used to. But I'm sure if like we go back with family, or we're hoping to go back with family to explore from like mid North Island down, where we feel like most likely like a bigger vehicle is necessary. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes up. And
at no point did we feel like we were like rushing or powering through. We savored every single moment. So that was also really cool.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I didn't feel rushed.
No.
I think the drives just helped relax us. We had really deep conversations. Yeah. But back to the driving.
Another tip that we would recommend is downloading Google Maps before you go. Yes. Not downloading the app itself, because judging by the user base, you already have it on your phone. But you can actually do an offline version of the map. And if you load it onto your phone before you leave and you lose signal, it'll at least get you to where you're going. You don't have to worry about it.
Ding, 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 ding. Do it for every area that you need.
Every single time. And actually, I did it so that when I zoomed out, it was the majority of the North Island, because I didn't know where I was gonna have signal and where I was not. So it actually covers a very large area of land.
Which, spoilers, you're not gonna have a lot of signal.
So the offline maps were, it was absolutely necessary.
So great.
And it came in super clutch, as the kids say. Right-hand turns. Now, when you're driving on the left side of the road, right turns are way more difficult. And I wonder if anyone out there is thinking what I'm thinking. Does that mean you can turn left on red? No, no you cannot. You're gonna sit there and be patient. But that's what the roundabouts are for, and you have to, as they say, give way to the other vehicles before you make your turn. And remember, if you're used to driving on the right, it's a much wider turn for you to be making.
It's very important.
It's actually very important.
Because it's probably the top way we almost could have gotten into accidents.
Yeah.
It's like not remembering that like you're still supposed to be in the left lane even when you turn right.
Yes. Another thing we'd like to point out is the fact that everything on, well, not your cluster, but in your wheel console is flipped. So typically, when you'd be driving, you would use your left hand for the indicator, right? And then you would use your right hand for
windshield wipers.
Right. While driving on the left side of the road, it is reverse. And it is one of the most unnatural things you will ever have to experience. The amount of time I turned on my windshield wipers when I needed to turn was perplexing. And no matter how many times you try, it's gonna keep happening. Like, oh, I'm gonna turn left. Oh, nope, that's not the indicator. Turn that off, hit the other one.
I only got alarmed about it when it was like very clear that we might get into an accident if he didn't do it right. So like, wrong side.
Yeah.
Because then you see like, so we hope that this video was very helpful. We mixed it in with storytelling and giving you information. Let us know in the comments section if you liked the information and liked the style of the video, or if you just have more questions about driving in New Zealand. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. And what else, Kamal?
Remember to subscribe.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.